So, well, this is probably the first time in a while that I've started a movie without belching, or review without belching. Oh my. So this review is going to be of an album that, once again, holds a special place right in my heart here. But this is an album that I think I started to appreciate more as I got older, which is "The Lost Christmas Eve" from the Trans Siberian Orchestra. And I actually did some research. There's some very interesting stuff I came out when I was looking at background on the album, which was apparently this was the third album in a trilogy that the group was coming up with, and it was certified gold in 2004 when it originally came out, but it became platinum once it got to 2014 after over 2 million copies it sold. So that was a pretty interesting thing to read about. And also, one thing I really like about the music in this album is that there's even, I didn't know until I listened to the album and looked this stuff up before for the review, but apparently there's some, the concept of the album is that it's a bunch of disparate, separate stories and people experiencing a variety of different things all on Christmas Eve somewhere in New York City, like Gothic Cathedral, somewhere in a bar, being outside in the snow. There's a lot of cool stuff that this album talks about. And I'll get a little more into the themes and the subject matter of the album, which leads into another huge bit of praise for this CD. But what I would like to say is that the song, it's the album is 23 songs. It's over an hour, but you really don't feel it because you're having so much fun listening to the music, which it does a great job at making Christmas this more mysterious, mythological kind of fantasy kind of world. And one great example of that is the title track, because it does a great job at sort of giving Christmas a sort of mysterious, intriguing kind of charm. The Lost Christmas Eve, returning us all to a child's innocence. The idea of snow bringing us back to when things were much simpler and we had a more naive view of the world. It's actually really cool. And the album does have a lot of intense music on there. My other favorite track on this album is Wizards in Wintertime. There's no lyrics, there's no vocals, but it's all instrumental. And if you don't know what Wizards in Wintertime is, if you look it up on YouTube or wherever you can get a hold of music, I think you'll recognize it once you start listening to the song, because it's one of those really iconic short songs, not just holiday music, but just songs in general. But it's really ear bleedingly catchy. You listen to it once, you listen to it a million times the following holiday season that you got coming up. So there is a lot of good stuff in there. I really appreciate the vocal stylings of the majority of the music. Sometimes you have a woman singing it. Sometimes you have a man with a throaty, raspy, Springsteen-y kind of voice going, which I'm a sucker for that. Yeah. What I do appreciate about the themes, not so much the aesthetic and the stylings of the music, but the story content. I do like how some of it can get pretty dark, but then have that sense of redemption. Like there is a storyline where a father rejects his son because the son is deformed and was born at the cost of his wife's life. Because basically, this family, this couple, they're pregnant, they're expecting. The wife gives birth, but she's hemorrhaging. She dies, and the father rejects the son because when the son was pulled out, it kind of messed up his face a little bit. But they do have a story where the father reconnects with his son after sending him away to assisted living or some asylum, to reconnect and try to repair the relationship. That's really messed up, but it does have a really sweet ending. I really do appreciate the fact that this album was able to cover something that is, it sounds more like something you'd see in like the Hunchback from Notre Dame. It sounds closer to that, because usually with these Christmas albums and with holiday specials, you usually have some lighthearted goofiness and some nice, sweet, wholesome family entertainment. But this one actually goes into a really dark, depressing area that has a lighthearted ending that kind of builds towards a redemption. So that was really that's a lot of fun because well, I mean, not really. It's I really dig how they go with that route because I mean the only other Christmas themed movie or storyline that I could think of that's dark but has a happy ending is It's a Wonderful Life. Because I mean the whole point of It's a Wonderful Life, to get off on a tangent, a man is feeling suicidal and his guardian angel has to learn about the man's life in order to save him, and he eventually convinces Jimmy Stewart that hey, life is worth living. So yeah, it kind of goes back to what I've always said about stories. I really don't care how dark it gets as long as there's a happy ending attached, or at least a hopeful ending. We don't need, and that's what I love about this album is that it's not afraid to go into dark places that most holiday themed ideas would never even tap. It wouldn't even rub the skin gently. It would just never go there. So I really give him a lot of credit for going. This album kind of makes me. It's almost like Meatloaf's music in in a lot of songs. Big, bombastic, epic, over the top, but still a hell of a lot of fun to listen to. Um, And I think The Lost Christmas Eve is probably my favorite Christmas song, which it is kind of weird for me to say that considering how much I've made it blatantly obvious that I love Bruce Springsteen and Kenny Loggins. It is, and they do have a lot of good Christmas songs, but Lost Christmas Eve, it's epic, mysterious, it really puts you in the mood that you're out at night on Christmas Eve. There's some snow drizzling down from the sky, and you see lights all around you, and you're into the magic, the joy, the wonder, and the charm of Christmas, and the intrigue of the mysterious shadows that lead you to a fun adventure. So there is a lot to like in this album. I All the songs are great. Two really stick with you. I think it's definitely something you should listen to during the holidays. Yes, there are some dark stuff in the music, but it's well thought out. It's very carefully crafted. You really get the sense that Trans Siberian Orchestra knew that this was going to be their final Christmas album for the trilogy, so they really made damn sure that the music sounded great. You know, they want to make it engaging, catchy, and above all else, memorable. And it's definitely. I know I said there's only really two memorable songs, but when I say when I say two most memorable, there's two iconic songs, and everything else is just great stuff that pads the album and definitely has a special feeling to it. So it's a wonderful piece of art, and that's really all I have to say for this review. So thank you all for watching. I don't know when I'm going to post next week's guitar cover, but I should know what my schedule is at work tomorrow when I go there to clock in. So I should be able to figure out when that comes up. Next week's review is not really going to be a review. It's probably just going to be it's going to be me talking about Mannheim Steamroller. I'm not sure if it's going to be a vlog or review or what, but we'll see. So that's all I got to say, and I hope to see you guys next week. Take care.